So in this week, we have few updates starting with the cyber warfare. So what's happening now is, as the war is between Russia and Ukraine is progressing, there are hackers or cyber criminals from China, Iran, North Korea, Russia, and a lot of other groups. Let's call them threat actors, which is the right term in cybersecurity. They are using Ukraine war-related themes to target either regular people like you and me or government departments or agencies. And what they are doing is they are sending documents like memos, latest updates, and this is a common tactic that's used by these groups. We call it topical lure, which is based on the current ongoing activity in the world. Cyber criminals or threat actors, they create content to lure users to penetrate them, and this is done by sending emails mostly. Okay, somebody can also set up fake websites. They can put ads that can lead to malicious software or malware installation. So that's getting very active. So that's that. In other thing, a new hacker group has been found, and what they are doing is something very unique. So they are going after companies that are focusing on mergers and acquisitions. And this group is currently named as UNC 3524. UNC stands for Universal Naming Convention. So when threat actors don't have a name, so we typically in cybersecurity industry, we start with a generic number. So in this case 3524, and then eventually somebody will come up with a name, right? And so a lot of companies have their own name. So same group will be known as Actor 1, another this by one company, and other company could call them Actor 2, right? Depending on how they're tracking it. Okay, so there's no standardized naming convention for tracking threat actors yet. Okay, now going back to this specific threat actor, what they're doing is they are trying to get into the mailbox of employees who are focusing on mergers and acquisition. How they get into, which is initial access, is not known. I think we'll come to know as the investigation proceeds. But what this group does is they install a backdoor called Quiet Exit for continuous remote access, and what that means is they will start monitoring the employees' email, what they are doing, what are they searching for, and sometimes they will even sit silently and monitor or find people who are actually involved. So let's say they get to me as employee and they track my mailbox activity, and if they find me to reach out somebody talking about merger acquisition, they will start talking, try getting to their mailboxes, and also using the global contact list in the companies directly. They also can get there. Multiple ways of doing it. Now once they are there in the account, what these companies or these actors are doing is they are sending data from their control servers, so command and control servers, over internet exposed IP cameras. So this means that they have hacked some of the IP cameras, and this is typically done using default credentials. So if you don't change your username password for your smart devices, please change them right away to make it secure. So going back to the attack, the command and control is done typically by using IP cameras, and this traffic is hidden in the normal web traffic. So network teams or security teams don't see anything bad. And once they are there in the system or infrastructure, they don't use any other malware. They're just moving literally from one system to another system. Okay, so now this makes it very hard to detect. It looks like they are there for cyber espionage. Who's behind this, it's not known, but they are going after any content which is on corporate development, mergers and acquisitions, and large corporate transactions. Okay. My personal belief is that this is for deciding a future strategy of any country who's behind these threat actors, right? Also, Russian hackers have been targeting diplomatic entities in Europe, America, and Asia. So this group is called COZYBR, aka APT29. This is a Russian intelligence-funded group. We have spoken about them a few weeks back also. They're using spear phishing emails masquerading as administrative notice, using legitimate but compromised email addresses from other diplomatic entities. Okay, so this is a known tactic that's used by them, and what they are going after is obtaining diplomatic and foreign policy information from governments around the world. Okay, and this group has been doing this since January 17. Now you have to understand that, you know, if you were a part of a group, or if you were running your own multiple groups, what you would do is you would assign smaller activities to people based on their skill set, right? That's how any company works. So similarly, in case of Russian intelligence, they have multiple such groups. Each group has its own task, they have its own expertise, and depending on their expertise, they are carrying out various tasks of high, medium, or low severity or criticality. And you know, sometimes one group will do multiple things, right? So in the morning, they will focus mostly on one project. In second half, they will focus on another project, right? Typically how a corporate works. So these guys are very organized, right? Also, a group supposedly sponsored by China, it's called Mustang Pada. They have been attacking against entities in Asia, European Union, Russia, and US. And again, they're using the same topical lures concept and sending phishing emails against European entities, including Russian organizations. And they, again, Ukraine conflict is a topic, impact on NATO is a topic, and these are all fake reports. Okay, once you download the report, your system is infected. And this group has been known to use previous topics like COVID-19 pandemic, any international summit, various political topics. Okay, and what that malware does is it downloads something called as plugx rat. Now rat means remote access trojan, so it is not malicious from system damage perspective, but it keeps spying. So the remote hacker can control and look at what you are doing. It can capture screenshots, record audio, video. And I played with plugx almost 5 years back when its source code was available on open internet. Now what authors do is they take the original source code, in case, you know, some cases bind them, some cases it's leaked, like groups, ransomware groups code was leaked some weeks back. That's a homework for you, find it out. Okay, so going back to plugx, so plugx gets installed, and then you can install multiple levels of software to give continuous access, right? So that's what these guys are doing. Okay, and again, espionage is the objective. Also, Chinese hackers have been caught stealing intellectual property from multiple companies. This is a group called Vinity, aka APD41, Axiom, Barry, and Bronze Atlas. They've been very active from 2007. This specific project is called Operation Cuckoos, and it's been ongoing since 2019, as we have found so far. The researcher who's found this, and they have exfiltrated hundreds of gigabytes of information across technology companies and manufacturing companies in East Asia, Western Europe, and North America. And this data contained sensitive documents, blueprints, diagrams, formulas, manufacturing related proprietary data, essentially intellectual property. Okay, now this group is used to use some specific malware. It's a full arsenal, and this cannot be detected by most of the antiviruses. Okay, using the standard capabilities that they have. Now, again, cyber espionage is very common. Intellectual property helps a nation state to decide strategy, right, in terms of economic investments, future direction, building a policy for the local environment. Okay, so that's why they do it. Now, in terms of non-cyber warfare incidents, IKEA Canada has been breached. They've exposed 95,000 records. And if you're wondering if a hacker did it, no, it was a internal employee, and we call this insider threat. That person did unsanctioned searches between March 1st and 3rd in the database, and this exposure included customer names, emails, phone numbers, and postal codes, along with the IKEA family loyalty program in some cases. Okay, so there is no action as per the company that needs to be taken by the IKEA customers, and they have taken some steps to prevent the data from being used, stored, or shared with any third party. Okay, so again, this is not IKEA Global, this is IKEA Canada. Okay, IKEA is a big furniture chain. A ransomware called Avast Locker has been found to disable antivirus protection. But typically, good quality antivirus should be able to take care of 60-70% of your bad issues like ransomware, but there is always more sophisticated softwares coming out, and Avast Locker is supposedly one of them. It can disable an antivirus. Okay, and the reason it's been able to do that, because of unpatched security flaws, or your software is not updated, like your Windows or Linux system, wherever it is your antivirus is installed. Now, AWAS Locker has been running as a ransomware as a service group. It was first seen in July 2021. They use multi-extortion scheme by auctioning data stolen from victims in case the targeted entity doesn't pay the ransom. Okay, they've been doing that, and it's a known scheme by some of the common actors. FBI had a report in March 2022 which said that this group has been targeting Syria, Saudi Arabia, Germany, Spain, Belgium, Turkey, and UAE. But in this recent report, it's been found that for last 1 year, almost 1 year, the group has been targeting technology, finance, telecom, and media verticals, and there are 17 incidents in Canada and India that were found, followed by US, Philippines, and other countries. Okay, now it works in safe mode, which means when the system is booted in a very low resource intensive requirement setup, then this malware still runs. And what they do is they use a remote administrative tool called AnyDesk. Well, AnyDesk is quite common. It's used for remote administration, which means genuine people, tech support teams use them to take control of other systems and fix IT issues. Okay, now this group auctions stolen data, and just like Revil. Okay, Revil was another ransomware which was there. So please make sure that your sensitive data is kind of continuously tracked. You have backups. You know what you're securing. Build policy based on the sensitivity of that infrastructure that you have or assets that you have. And assets should include data. So you should know what's relevant for your company's functionality or working, okay, day-to-day operations. Now, again, AWAS did a lot of homework before they choose their targets based on their ability to pay ransom, and then they decided, right? So if you are a well-funded company, AWAS will come after you. Okay. Now, in another breach, a company called EN Collect, they are a debt collection services. So just to give you a background, whenever you take a loan and somebody is not able to pay a loan, there are debt collection agencies that are involved in that process to recover whatever they can. Now, in this case, this debt collection company was serving multiple companies across India and Africa. Indian companies includes Lending Card, India Lends, Shub Loans, African companies, I think Centrum, Rosabo, and Acheon, and they had this data from them. And this got leaked. The total data size is around 5.8 GB and around 16 or 1.6 million records. Okay, it was detected on Feb 2022, and it includes information like name, loan amount, date of birth, account number, etc. In some cases, it includes overdue amounts, type and length of loan, internal notes left by the collection agency. And it was not because a hacker did it, because it was a misconfiguration. Some administrator left the database called Elasticsearch open on internet without a password. So that's how, right? So it's not always hackers, it's always mistakes by people or deliberate attempts by insiders, as we saw earlier in an example. Okay, ACCO, which is one of the big companies into agriculture equipment, it's hit by a ransomware attack, and this company has a revenue of $11.1 billion, and they are not able to run their IT systems when this report was read by me, and they were still investigating. But imagine if you are a business and you are not able to sell because you can't log into your systems, it's a huge loss, right? So if you are a small business listening to this, make sure you have basic cybersecurity hygiene in place. Please make sure you have to use top class cybersecurity software as well as best practices, which includes employee training also and awareness. Okay. Again, in one case, State Bar of Georgia, which was recently hacked, they posted the news on their Twitter handle on 3rd May, and they said they are responding to the attack, and it has crippled the organization's network, website, and email system, and they haven't confirmed what type of attack it was. Was it a ransomware or something else? But they are taking help of a cybersecurity firm. Okay. In other hacks, and this has been the flavor for the last few months, is the cryptocurrency and blockchain platforms are getting hacked continuously. Now this time, Finance, which is they call themselves as number one DeFi ecosystems on Kronos blockchain. They are hacked, and they were $2 million of cryptocurrency was stolen, and this was declared on 5th of May. They were doing investigations. They found out the issue, wherever the data went to a crypto exchange, and they were working with the crypto exchange. They involved law enforcement, and eventually they, on the same day, they confirmed to their customers that all this money will be compensated and reimbursed, which is good, right? But make sure if you are investing in crypto, do it with good guys, or guys who have basic cybersecurity in place, guys who won't run away with your money. Okay. Now, an interesting development has been happening, and we have covered some part of this. As you know, world is moving a lot towards cloud-hosted applications, right? So there is a new architecture for some time which is called containerized-based architecture. Essentially, it makes application development easier and faster. So the developers prefer using that architecture, okay, because of the advantages that it has. Now, as developers are moving towards it, hackers are moving towards exploiting them. So they are continuously trying to find vulnerabilities in this infrastructure. And in recent analysis given by some researchers, these cyber criminals were able to hack honeypots or misconfigured or generally misconfigured machines to compromise and execute 2 different Docker images. And these were targeting Russian, Belarusian, and Lithuanian websites in denial of service attack. Now, to simplify this, researchers often deploy systems on internet, and they deliberately configure issues so that hackers tend to hack them. Once hacking is done, researchers can understand what is the issue, what techniques are being used by these hackers, and the objective is to learn about their techniques. So in this case, hackers were able to penetrate those systems, and they installed some images there, software images, containers essentially, and these containers were trying to attack some of the websites using a denial of service method. Now, if you were a developer and you had downloaded those images, unknowingly you will become part of that attack, or your software that you have developed containing those images will start conducting attack on those websites, right? So be careful on what you are downloading from internet. Not everything is safe. There are software supply chain issues. I will be making a video soon on that. But my request is to deploy a cloud workload protection product in case you are running a cloud native app. Okay, make sure you have security best practices in place. There are multiple best practices that you can deploy. Okay. Now, what else has happened is on US Treasury Department has sanctioned a cryptocurrency mixer called Blender.io. It's a crypto mixer. Now, what crypto mixer does, if they are a privacy-focused services that allows users to move cryptocurrency assets between accounts without leaving a transaction trail, and this by obfuscating their origins. Now, which means if I have a wallet and I have some money, I send it to Blender.io, and I can send it to anywhere, and my transaction won't be tracked. That's the privacy part. But unfortunately, as you know, all these things can be used by cyber criminals, and that's the case here. Okay, so by the way, this company makes money by charging service fees anytime there's a transaction. It was launched in 2017, and they have done transfer of more than $500 million so far, and this is specific to Bitcoin. Now, what has happened in the last few hacks, especially the one where there were $540 million stolen by Lazarus Group of North Korea, they siphoned around 18% of this this money, which is around $97 million, through another similar service called Tornado Cash. Okay, and this is not the first time this has happened. Treasury earlier had sanctioned a virtual currency exchange called Garantax that was assisting cyber criminals in laundering over $100 million of ill-gotten funds. Okay, there were other cryptocurrency exchanges like Swax or Chatex who've been doing this, helping ransomware actors and other bad people. Okay, so this is the reason, right? And what has happened is this particular company is supposed to have helped Russian-aligned ransomware gangs launder their money. This includes a group called Trickbot, Contai, Revil, Gangram, etc. So that's why there is a sanction on them. Okay. So that's an interesting thing. I think what US is doing after the recent executive order from President Biden is pretty promising in cyber safety side. They are taking quick actions. Okay, they keep spreading a lot of awareness, which I have not seen in last so many years, but last I think 1 year it's been pretty active. So I really appreciate it. Also, NIST has released a document for software supply chain risks. It's essentially guidelines. So this is pretty good. As I said, it adds to the best practices that's being spread by US government on cybersecurity. Also, Google is going to add passwordless authentication on Android and Chrome. Now, this is after Apple and Microsoft are also trying to do that, which means I don't have to log in with using my password or a passcode. I will just use my Face ID or a Touch ID to log in securely across different devices, irrespective of where I am. Right? So it's a pretty good thing. It is something which will help us not remember our password but use our data in the cloud or key stores as called by Apple, which are stored on iCloud to log in anywhere securely, right? So in case as I'm not using my password, it will be very hard for somebody who has my password to breach me. Okay, so as more services go with passwordless authentication, it will get better, right? So yeah, that's about it. Always thankful and grateful to all the resources that are helping us learn. And with that, I'll see you next time. Keep learning. Thank you.